We are deep already into another work week. Man, we're getting close to Thanksgiving too. Man, it's right around the corner. By the way, this is going to be the greatest Thanksgiving of all time. Like, of all time. It makes all the sense in the world that the AAA is out with their numbers, their projections about how many people are going to travel for Thanksgiving this year. We'll get to that in a little bit. And it makes all the sense in the world. I mean, this is, if you're a Trump supporter, you've been looking forward to this Thanksgiving for like 4 years now. I mean, my God. Chance to sit next to your whiny, wokey cousin that's been telling you Trump's going to jail. People like that, you would walk 1,000 miles to get to Thanksgiving dinner for that one. That's why the travel numbers are so up. We'll talk about that. Speaking of travel, Spirit Airlines, probably to nobody's surprise, filed for bankruptcy. How is that going to affect your travel plans? It may, and it may affect the other airlines. We'll talk about that. There is a story that we will get to. It's our headliner today that will enrage you. But at the end of it, it's actually good news, believe me. And it's actually good news that stories like this are coming out now, and they're actually being exposed. There's a Georgia mom who is facing, she was arrested. She's facing jail time for letting her 10, now 11-year-old son walk to school. You know how far? A half a mile. It's unbelievable. It's one of the worst stories of government overreach I've ever heard of in my life. But again, there's good news at the end. The guy that may clean up the FBI is unbelievable. We'll talk about that. And now, speaking of travel again, there's now an anti-Trump cruise to escape reality. There's a lot of stuff to get to. Let's get to it. Thanks for finding Wicked Radio. I appreciate you. Welcome to Tuesday, 11/19. Like I said, getting closer and closer to Thanksgiving. If you have found the audio podcast, I want to thank you so much because it's that one is really doing well. I appreciate the ratings and the comments and all that stuff. Wherever you get your podcasts, it's on there, all the platforms. And, of course, this lives as a replay later on in the day, but we're live right now, and we got to get to it. Let's talk about those Thanksgiving numbers. AAA, and they're usually pretty accurate about this, I will tell you. Last 3-4 years, they've been pretty right on it. They're saying no Thanksgiving in American history will have as many people in the sky and on the roads than this coming Thanksgiving. They are projecting 80 million people overall traveling somewhere. And I think it's like, 75 miles more or more. I don't know, whatever it is. Everybody counts. 72 million people will drive. They project 6 million will fly. And that actually would be a record for sure. Probably not the best time for Spirit Airlines to go bankrupt, but they have. Here's their CCO talking about it. His name is Matt Klein.
Brands have to change. Products must evolve. And we were kind of stuck in a spot that didn't allow us to change the way that we knew we should and that we knew we could.
If any airline was going to go bankrupt, this is the one I projected. I mean, come on. I like that it's there. I've only flown Spirit a couple of times in my life, but it's there. What's the first thing you think of when you hear Spirit Airlines? Just to be completely honest. If you spend any time at all online, on X, even on Facebook, Instagram, what do you think of when you hear of Spirit? What's their main brand? Low prices? Maybe. Airline fights. All the craziest stories of airline fights on board and actually at the gate, it's almost always Spirit Airlines. Take that what you will. But how does this affect you if you're traveling somewhere, especially throughout the holidays? They say nothing to worry about. Even though they filed for Chapter 11, they've racked up more than $2.2 billion in debt in the last 5 years alone. JetBlue, you might remember, tried to buy them, and a judge blocked it, so that fell through. So I think they knew that this was coming. They say, don't worry, they're not going out of business. They will put out a statement that all tickets will be honored and people continue to book and fly in the future, blah, blah, blah. You know, it's an airline. What they're hoping for is a buyout. That's what they're hoping for. Hope they don't get it, but they may, so just keep that in mind. If you're flying on Spirit, they say they'll honor you. We'll find out. All right, we got to get to the headlining story here. This is unbelievable. Everybody laughed that didn't understand the story and why there was so much outrage for, remember the sad story of Peanut, the pet squirrel in New York? And you weren't talking about government overreach, where they took that guy and they took his pet raccoon, Fred, and Peanut the squirrel, and they euthanized him. By the way, the update to that story, and it may never have heard, they tested negative for rabies. There was no reason to murder those pets. Well, that was sad on its own. But what upset most people in the country was a shining example of government overreach. And those that didn't get it truly don't get it. So when we think of government overreach, you think of mostly federal government, right? Sure. Out of control Department of Justice, these corrupt judges, lawfare, all of that stuff. The worst cases of government overreach you see are always in small communities and counties throughout the country. But those stories are coming out now because, again, what's been our theme so far, especially since the election, like Elon says, we are the media now. For case and example, there's a lady in Georgia named Brittany Patterson. She was arrested October 30th and is still facing jail and fine time. Why? Oh, the horror. She let her kid walk to school. Now, her son at the time was 10. He has since turned 11. How far are we talking? 10 miles, 20 miles, 30 miles? No, a half a mile. That's all. I don't even know what to say about this other than the fact that it's great news that it's coming out right now. And the second thing is, the really great thing is, she's fighting it. She could have gotten out of it and caved, but she's gotten so much community support and now national support because it's a national story. She's fighting the entire thing. Here you go.
Call mommy and tell him they're taking you to jail because you decided to walk down the street.
Let go of your hands.
That's not his fault.
Yeah, call mommy.
You're the mother. That's your responsibility.
Last time I checked, it wasn't illegal for a kid to walk to the store. So.
It is when they're 10 years old.
That's not his fault. It's your fault because the kid's only 10 years old. Did you walk to school? I walked to school my entire school life, and it was just a tick under 2 miles. Like, what's the problem here? Apparently, a rural community. People have said since this story came out that apparently this county where she is out of control. Like, they do this kind of stuff all the time. Because this is where it lives. This is where the government overreach lives, and this is where people are pushing back. But speaking of pushing back, so she's gotten all kinds of money for a legal fund from people outraged by this. A pretty good attorney apparently has worked pro bono to get her out of this thing. So this insane local government in her county reaches out to her, and they said, it's okay, because of the public pressure, we'll drop the charges, but you have to sign an agreement and a paper, a safety plan for your son. As long as you sign this paper and agree to visits to your house, and by the way, it would include an ankle monitor for your child. How insane is this? But the good news is she's fighting it, and she's refused to sign that.
I just felt like I couldn't sign that, and that in doing so would be agreeing that there was something unsafe about my home or something unsafe about my parental decisions, and I just don't believe that.
Here's the other thing, Brittany. The reason why it's great that you're fighting, you're not signing this is, the only thing that puts a stop to this insanity is somebody like this fighting. And the only reason why she can fight, honestly, is because the story got out there. You can't ever cave to lunatics like this. The people that grab a little bit of power that never had any before, but all of a sudden they're a community resource officer or a judge or a county administrator, whatever it is, and they do insane things like this. They're going to keep doing it and doing it and doing it until you fight back. She can fight back because now, we're the media now, we get a hold of information like this, and people absolutely refuse. There's a change. There's a change in the entire country. And the reason why I think she's a hero is because she's still facing a big fine. And she has to pay court fees and all this other stuff. And even though the lawyer's working for her pro bono, it's a big fight she's taken on. But she's fighting. And that's the big thing, which is fantastic of her to do. Now, what's the background of the story? Well, Bill? Why did the kid have to walk to school in the first place? Because like any parent, she got busy. And her schedule got all jammed up, and she's got another kid in the house, I think a couple, and her daughter had a dentist appointment. So she turned to her then 10-year-old son, and she said, hey, today, can you do me a favor? Just walk to school while I take your sister. That's what got her in trouble. A half a mile. Can you believe that? But again, even though that's enraging, take it for the good news that people like that are fighting back. People across the country are fighting back. It's the only thing that's going to work. Don't sign the paper. Don't cave. Don't let them put an ankle monitor on your kid. Get a hold of local media, podcasters, live streamers, mainstream media, which picked it up, everybody, and make it known. That's how you put the pressure on these local lunatics that are overreaching their bounds and their power. People aren't putting up with it anymore, and it's fantastic. It's actually a feel-good story, believe it or not. When she's completely cleared of all this crap, I can't wait to talk about it. All right, let's go to Operation Clean Up the Swamp for a quick second. How's that going? More nominations from Trump. The biggest nomination that hasn't happened yet so far, but that is a rumor, is another name that has surfaced. Nothing confirmed yet. There was a rumor that he was going to be named to head up the CIA, but more likely the FBI. Kash Patel. This is a guy we talked about before, about a week and a half ago. He was it's still a Trump advisor. Let me give you a little taste of what Kash Patel would be like, and what he would do day one in that FBI office building.
The FBI's footprint has gotten so freaking big, and the biggest problem the FBI has come out of its intel shops. I'd break that component out of it. I'd shut down the FBI Hoover building on day one and reopening the next day as a museum of the deep state. And I'd take the 7,000 employees that work in that building and send them across America to chase down criminals. Go be cops. You're cops. Go be cops. Go chase down murderers and drug dealers and violent offenders. What do you need 7,000 people there for? Same thing with DOJ. What are all these people doing here? Looking for their next government promotion, looking for their next fancy government title, looking for their parachute out of government. So while you're bringing in the right people, you also have to shrink government.
And that, my friends, is why there are so many homes for sale in Northern Virginia, because they are scared that the absolute useless, bloated government agency that has always been like that, obviously. It's a federal agency. It's just the nature of growing and becoming more and more inefficient and wasteful spending. But it's more than that. It's just become dangerous. So a guy like that coming, I'm rooting so hard for it. I can't wait. I absolutely can't wait. And I love, the late night talk show host. Trump he's basically appointing a clown show now. Well, maybe this clown show will be a little bit better than what you have right now, because what you have right now is wasteful and it's dangerous. And here's the perfect example. Doge, Department of Government Efficiency. You got Vivek and you got Elon, two of the smartest people in the world running that thing. Elon's example, could he actually do it? Well, he bought Twitter for $44 million and he turned it into X, and now it's just about to turn a profit when nobody thought it would. He walked in there day one and he couldn't believe that there was no one in this giant office building at the time in San Francisco. And he said, these people are useless. They don't do anything. He cut the work staff by 90%, and it's better than it ever has been. You think that could work in government? Yeah, I do too. And now they can do it, especially because there's more support for it than ever. Or as Dana White said the other day.
Well, if you saw the election, the entire country relates with Trump right now. When all the swing states, the only states she won were the ones that you didn't need ID to vote in. It would have been interesting if you needed ID, how that would have played out too. I think that the whole country, it feels like somebody hit the reset button.
Can you feel it? I can feel it. You talk to people, it's amazing. And it's not, I'm just not just talking about hardcore Trump supporters who are very happy the way the election turned out last week. I'm talking about everybody. Just look around. Look at the optimism that's out there. Look at the story like the one we just talked about with the Georgia lady who refuses to kowtow to her insane local overreach government. She's not signing that paper. She's not doing it. She's pushing back. Look at the support now that Kash Patel has, that guy, hardcore, hardliner, to clean up the swamp in the FBI and the deep state. Look at the support he has now. I don't think the nominations, not all of them will pass, but a lot of them will. But I don't think Trump would even be in a position, not in 2016, definitely not even in 2020, to put these names forward to have the balls to clean up government the way he's going to now. Because, well, he wanted to. But the first part is, I don't think he knew the right people to get in there. But the second part and most important part is he didn't have the public support. People are ready now. Oh, absolutely. Oh, after these past 4 years, the waking up, the great awakening of America, we've gone through the great awakening, everybody realizing all the crap that's been going on with these ridiculous governments. And now, transitioning from the great awakening to the golden era, where we could actually get things done. Now public support is there. Dana White's right. It's like it feels like everybody hit the reset button, is getting ready to go to work. And it's going to be work. And like we said a couple of days ago, it's going to be like ripping the Band-Aid off. And you're going to find out things as they dig deeper, how bad things have been that we didn't even know about because the media wouldn't tell us. But it's going to be great. It's going to work out great if you're here. You can feel it. You can feel the difference. Unless you're absolutely insane and a really bad Trump derangement syndrome victim. God knows there are a lot of those out there. That's why I said in the intro, half teasing, that it's going to be the most amazing Thanksgiving ever. I mean, oh my God, I can't wait till the days and weeks after Thanksgiving when you hear about all these fights and stories and people. If you can even get together with your TDS relatives that are so bent, but whatever. But they may not be there, because here's my favorite story of the day. There is now a cruise line. A cruise company is offering Americans, get this, a 4-year. They do these now. They have these around the world cruise excursion things, whatever. Well, this one's a 4-year escape from President-elect Donald Trump's second term in the White House. That's right. You just sail away with all your other Trump derangement syndrome victims. You can all be cooped up on one boat, and you could just sail the world for a hefty price, by the way. God, can you imagine? Can you imagine what this thing is like? It's just like I don't know, 1,000, 1,200, 1,500 of the worst Karens you could ever possibly imagine, all complaining at once, and you're trapped there with them. They're all complaining about everything at the buffet and complaining to waiters. Oh, my God. Well, it's Florida-based cruise company Via V Residences. I think that's how you pronounce it, Via Vi. To be completely honest with you, I don't care enough about them to look up the proper pronunciation, so I'm going with Villa V. They recently announced the launch of its Tour La Vie program, allowing passengers to spend up to 4 years visiting over 140 countries. That's kind of cool, actually, all while avoiding the United States. It's about avoidance, isn't it? Escape from Reality Cruise. That's actually the name. That's how we described it, but that is the name. There's the 2-year midterm selection cruise, a 3-year everywhere but home option, and the 4-year skip forward trip. These names are perfect. They're absolutely perfect, because these are people who just cannot deal with reality. And these are also the people that believed hook, line, and sinker every hoax, every lie, every piece of propaganda, anything their favorite news networks showed them, right? I mean, they probably have The View and MSNBC on constant loop on this thing, constantly. Well, this is ridiculous enough, but I actually hope they do well with this. It would be awesome. Just get the most deranged among us out of the country for 4 years. They can come back, but that would be great. I found this morning now. If you've never followed, I run into it because, I'm always looking for media stories and sound and all that stuff. If you've ever watched Australian news coverage of what happens in this country, it's amazing. You're really missing out if you don't. I mean, they had a field day with the past 4 years talking about Biden, just making fun of him every day. They actually had an actor come on a news program to make fun of Biden wandering off, which he did again in the rainforest the other day, by the way. So they got a hold of this story, and they had a blast with it, just making fun of it. The first anchor gives you the price of this thing, which we didn't get to yet. And then listen to this guy's take on what this thing would be like.
A single room starts at $388,000, while a double could set you back around $485,000. Imagine all the celebrities
Listen
that would
to
be
this
on.
guy.
Oh, yeah. I tell you what, if I had a choice between living in America under Donald Trump and being locked for 4 years on a cruise ship with a bunch of lefty whinging woke whiners who don't like the fact that Harris lost, I'll live in America every day of the week.
Oh, my God. Oh, I wish I heard that before. A bunch of whingy wokes. That is fantastic. But if you want to go, if you want to escape reality, that option's there for you, and I'm sure they'll sell out. I hope so anyway. Who the heck knows? All right. That's it. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today. It's Wicked Radio. Tomorrow will be midweek. Who the heck knows what's going to... Probably have some more nominations for Operation Clean Up the Swamp. That and a lot more. And our number one takeaway today is when a ridiculous government overreach comes into your life, like that Georgia lady. Christy Patterson, what you got to do? You have to fight back, because we've hit the reset button. America's ready to support you now. That's fantastic. And secondly, which is right along those lines, don't ever take any crap from anybody. All right, thanks for finding the audio podcast. That'll be posted hopefully pretty soon, within a couple of minutes. If you're watching this later on, thanks for finding the replay every single day, 8 a.m. Wicked Radio live right here. Appreciate you as always, and we will talk to you tomorrow.